Let me tell you something. Most people are prisoners not because of bars or chains, but because they're locked up in the opinions of other folks. You could be out here chasing your dream, living your best life, but instead you stuck, worried about what somebody who don't even like themselves think about you. Today, I'm going to show you why you got to stop caring what people think, because that's the real key to freedom. Step 1, people's opinions. Don't pay your bills. You ever notice how the loudest people with the strongest opinions about your life are the ones who got nothing to do with it? They'll sit back on the sidelines, point fingers, tell you how you should live, what you should do, what choices you should make, and yet when the rent is due, when the bills come sliding under the door, when your kids are looking up at you asking for food on the table, none of those people with all that advice and judgment are anywhere to be found. They ain't swiping their card to keep your lights on. They ain't standing in line at the grocery store buying your groceries. But here you are, losing sleep over what they think. Now tell me, does that make sense? Let's be real. Somebody's opinion of you don't hold no weight when it comes to your survival. You can't walk up to the bank and say, well, my cousin said I shouldn't be chasing my dream. Can I get a loan? That bank manager will look at you like you lost your mind. Why? Because opinions don't have value in the marketplace. Hard work does. Results do. Commitment does. You can't cash a gossip check. You can't deposit somebody else's criticism. Their opinion don't translate into dollars, and it don't keep food on the table. So why would you give it that much power over your life? The truth is, most people who got something to say about you are usually speaking from their own limitations. They don't believe they can do better, so they try to convince you that you can't do better either. They want you to shrink so they can feel taller. They want you to slow down so they don't feel left behind. And if you listen long enough, you'll start to believe them. You'll start adjusting your dream to fit their comfort zone instead of pushing yourself into your own greatness. And meanwhile, those bills still coming, life is still moving, and the people talking about you still ain't helping you pay for nothing. You got to understand something about life. People gonna talk regardless. You could be doing absolutely nothing with your life and they'll call you lazy. You could be grinding day and night, chasing something big, and they'll call you crazy. You could finally make it, buy the house, get the car, start the business, and they'll say you think you better than everybody. So no matter what path you take, their mouths are still running. That's just the nature of people. But the electric company don't care what your neighbors say about you. The landlord don't care if your coworkers think your dream is unrealistic. The water bill don't give a damn about your family gossiping behind your back. Life keeps demanding payment in full, and opinions ain't legal tender. And here's the kicker. While you're sitting around stressing about whether folks approve of you, they at home stressed about their own lives. They don't like themselves enough to clap for you, so they hide behind criticism. They disguise jealousy as advice. They call it concern when really it's just insecurity speaking. But at the end of the day, you're the one who got to live with your choices, not them. If you let their opinions dictate your actions, you're letting people who have no investment in your future make decisions for your life. And the crazy part, they won't even stick around to help you deal with the consequences of those decisions. Step 2, you can't please everybody. One of the biggest traps people fall into is this idea that if they just work hard enough, if they just act nice enough, if they just say the right things at the right time, somehow they can get everybody to like them. Let me break it to you straight. No matter what you do, somebody somewhere is going to have a problem with it. You could wake up tomorrow and decide to dedicate your life to helping people, feeding the poor, saving the planet, and somebody will still get online and type, well, I don't like the way they went about it. That's just how people are wired. The minute you realize it's impossible to please everybody, that's the moment you start living free. Think about it. Have you ever seen a movie that everybody liked? No, some folks think it's the greatest thing ever made. Others call it garbage. You could make the best steak in the world, seasoned perfectly, cooked just right, but one person's going to say it's too salty, another says it's too dry, another asks if it's gluten-free, and one more will tell you they don't even eat meat. That's life. No matter how much effort you put into trying to be liked, someone is going to find a reason to complain. If you chase the approval of every single person, you'll exhaust yourself running in circles, and the sad part is, you'll still never catch it. The funny thing is, a lot of the people you're trying so hard to please aren't even happy with themselves. They look in the mirror and don't like what they see. They wake up in the morning already irritated, already mad at life, already disappointed with the way things turned out for them. And you over here bending backwards, twisting yourself into knots just to get a smile out of somebody who don't even smile at themselves. That's why trying to please everybody is a losing game. You're gambling with a slot machine that's rigged to never pay out. When you spend your life trying to meet everybody else's expectations, you lose sight of your own. You forget what makes you happy, what makes you fulfilled, what makes you alive, because you're too busy chasing applause that doesn't even matter. And here's the raw truth: the people you sacrificed your peace for won't be there when you need them. You'll change your plans, hide your dreams, kill your confidence just to keep them satisfied. And in the end, they still won't clap for you. They'll just move on to the next thing they can criticize because that's all they know how to do. So let me ask you this. If pleasing people never really works and the same people you're trying to impress don't even care that much about you, then why carry that weight? Why shrink yourself for an audience that will always demand more? Because the reality is, no matter how good, how kind, how generous, or how talented you are, somebody somewhere will find a reason not to like you, and that's not your problem to fix. Step 3, most people don't care as much as you think. One of the biggest lies people believe is that the world is watching them, waiting for them to make a mistake, ready to laugh the second they slip up. That pressure eats people alive. They won't speak up in meetings because they're scared of sounding dumb. They won't post that idea online because they're worried about what the comments will say. They won't chase their dream because they're terrified of being judged. But here's the truth that will set you free. Most people don't care about you as much as you think they do. They're not staying up at night analyzing your decisions. They're not obsessed with every move you make. They're too busy worrying about their own problems, their own insecurities, their own lives to truly care that much about yours. You think the world is watching when you walk into a room, but in reality, everyone else in that room is thinking the same thing you are. I hope nobody notices how nervous I am. I hope nobody sees my flaws. I hope I don't embarrass myself. People are wrapped up in their own little universe, and in that universe, they are the main character. You're just an extra in their movie, and extras don't get much screen time. That's why it's so dangerous to let the fear of judgment stop you. You're building imaginary prisons in your mind, locking yourself up with chains that don't even exist, all because you think people care way more than they actually do. The reality is this: people's attention spans are short. You might stumble, you might fail, you might even fall flat on your face in front of an audience, and sure, they might laugh for a moment, but give it 10 minutes, give it an hour, give it a day, life goes on. People go back to their routines, back to their jobs, back to worrying about themselves, and yet you'll still be replaying that moment in your head like it's the end of the world. They've already moved on, but you're still stuck holding on to a moment nobody else even remembers. That's how much power you give away when you assume people care more than they do. Think about it. How often do you notice every little mistake someone else makes? Hardly ever. You're too busy scrolling your phone, handling your responsibilities, thinking about your own future. Sure, sometimes you might notice when somebody messes up, but you don't spend hours, days, weeks obsessing over their life. And if you don't do it to others, why do you believe others are doing it to you? It's all in your head. Most of the time, people aren't laughing at you. They aren't judging you. They aren't even thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves, and you just happen to cross their radar for a second before they move on. This is why living for other people's approval makes no sense. You're stopping yourself from chasing opportunities, from putting yourself out there, from taking risks, all because of an audience that's not even paying attention. You're giving the spotlight to people who weren't even watching the show in the first place. When you realize that, when it really sinks in that most people don't care nearly as much as you think they do, you start to live lighter, freer, and bolder. Step 4, your worth isn't up for debate. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking their value depends on somebody else's approval. They sit around waiting for validation, waiting for applause, waiting for someone to say, "You're good enough," before they give themselves permission to step into their purpose. But let me tell you something, your worth isn't a group project. It's not up for debate, it's not up for a vote, and it sure isn't defined by people who don't even understand your journey. The fact that you woke up this morning, the fact that you're still standing after everything life has thrown at you, that alone is proof of your value. When you let people debate your worth, you hand them power they don't deserve. You start shrinking yourself to fit into boxes they built for their own comfort. You start questioning your talent, your looks, your skills, your calling, all because somebody else couldn't see it. But here's the truth, their inability to recognize your value doesn't decrease it. Just because a blind man can't see the sun doesn't mean the sun stopped shining. And just because somebody doesn't clap for you doesn't mean you're not worth celebrating. People's opinions are limited by their own perspective, and if you let that define you, you'll spend your whole life chained to their small vision. Think about how crazy it is. There are people out there who will look at a diamond and call it a rock because they don't know its value. That's how people treat you. They see a version of you through their own insecurities, through their own jealousy, through their own lack of vision, and they try to make you believe you're less than you are. But the truth is, their opinion says more about them than it does about you. If somebody can't see your worth, that's their limitation, not yours. You don't need to argue, you don't need to explain, you don't need to beg them to understand. You were valuable before they showed up, and you'll be valuable long after they're gone. The danger comes when you internalize other people's labels. If they say you're not smart enough, you start to believe it. If they say you're not attractive enough, you start to carry it. If they say you're not capable, you start shrinking your dream to fit inside their doubts. But here's what you need to realize. Labels only stick if you let them. Just because somebody hands you an opinion doesn't mean you have to wear it. You can put it right back down and keep walking in your truth. Your worth is built in, permanent, unshakable. It doesn't go up and down based on public opinion. Every time you measure yourself against what other people think, you're forgetting that you were created with purpose, with gifts, with potential that no one else can take away. You're not here to beg for approval or to convince people to see your light. You're here to walk in it, whether they clap for you or not. Your worth was never up for debate because the only one who has the authority to define it is you. Step 5. Haters reveal more about themselves than you. The funny thing about haters is they act like they're giving you a review, but really they're exposing themselves. Every time somebody throws shade at you, every time they try to tear you down, every time they spread gossip behind your back, what they're really doing is holding up a mirror to their own insecurity. People don't waste energy hating on somebody unless they feel threatened. They don't criticize what doesn't bother them. If they're talking about you, it's because something about you makes them uncomfortable. Maybe it's your confidence. Maybe it's your work ethic. Maybe it's the fact that you keep moving forward while they're stuck in the same place. Whatever it is, their hate says more about what they lack than about who you are. You ever notice how haters are never doing better than you? They don't build skyscrapers and then go pick on the guy laying bricks. They don't have millions in the bank and then sit online all day typing paragraphs about strangers. No, haters usually come from the sidelines, from the cheap seats, from people who aren't even in the game. And that's the point. You're on the field, playing, sweating, grinding, chasing something bigger while they sitting in the stands with nothing to show but popcorn and complaints. If they were winning at their own life, they wouldn't have time to worry about yours. So when they talk, don't take it personal. They're just telling on themselves. See, when somebody looks at you and says, "You'll never make it," what they're really saying is, "I gave up on myself, so I can't imagine you succeeding." When somebody laughs at your dream, what they're really admitting is, "I was too scared to chase mine." And when somebody criticizes the way you live your life, what they're really screaming without realizing it is, "I wish I had the courage to do what you're doing." Hate is nothing but admiration that got poisoned by jealousy. It's the confession of a person who doesn't know how to clap, so instead they boo. The most dangerous mistake you can make is letting a hater's voice become louder than your own. Because once you start believing them, you start shrinking. You'll second guess yourself, hold back your ideas, lower your energy, and before you know it, you've let their insecurity infect your destiny. And for what? So somebody who ain't even living their best life can feel better about holding you back? That's not how you win. You don't give a failing student the red pen to grade your paper. You don't hand over the steering wheel to somebody who doesn't even know where they're going. What haters reveal is not truth about you, but truth about themselves. They reveal their fears, their bitterness, their jealousy, their regrets. They show you the wounds they never healed from. They try to throw dirt on you because they feel buried themselves. But dirt on you doesn't bury you. It grows you. Their hate is fertilizer. It exposes what's inside them, but it strengthens what's inside you. Step 6. Freedom comes from self-validation. There's a kind of freedom that money can't buy and applause can't give you. It's the freedom that comes when you finally stop chasing everybody else's approval and start approving of yourself. Most people spend their whole lives waiting on somebody to clap for them, to say good job, to recognize their effort, to validate their worth. But the truth is, if you wait on the world to crown you, you'll be waiting forever. Because the same people who cheer for you today might boo you tomorrow. The same people who call you a genius one moment will call you a fool the next. Their opinion is unstable, unpredictable, and unreliable. The only validation that lasts, the only kind that truly frees you, is the one that comes from within. When you validate yourself, you give yourself permission to live unapologetically. You stop holding back your ideas out of fear that someone won't like them. You stop shrinking your personality to make other people comfortable. You stop waiting for approval that may never come. Instead, you walk into rooms with your head high. You speak your truth without hesitation. You pursue your goals without waiting for consensus. That kind of freedom changes everything, because once you decide that your voice matters, that your dreams matter, that your worth doesn't need an outside stamp, nobody can control you anymore. People who lack self-validation are slaves to opinion. They can be manipulated by praise and destroyed by criticism. A single compliment lifts them, but a single insult breaks them. That's why they're never truly at peace. They're living on a roller coaster of public opinion. But when you validate yourself, you build a foundation that no storm can shake. You don't get too high when people celebrate you, and you don't get too low when they doubt you. You stand steady because your confidence isn't rented, it's owned. Think about how much time and energy people waste trying to live up to other people's standards. They buy things they can't afford to impress people who don't care. They follow careers they don't even like just to look successful in somebody else's eyes. They keep relationships that drain them just to avoid judgment from the outside. And at the end of the day, they're exhausted, unfulfilled, and still not enough in the eyes of the very people they tried to please. That's the prison of external validation. It never satisfies, but self-validation breaks those chains. It allows you to live your life based on what fulfills you, not what entertains the crowd. Self-validation means you clap for yourself when nobody else does. It means you tell yourself, I'm worthy, before anyone else gets the chance. It means you stand in your truth even if the whole room disagrees. That's where freedom lives, because freedom isn't about doing whatever you want without consequence. It's about knowing who you are so deeply that you're no longer shaken by who the world says you should be. And when you reach that point, when your approval comes from within, you stop asking for permission to live the life you were created for. Listen, at the end of the day, you got one life, one shot, and you can't waste it worrying about what people think, begging for their approval, or letting their hate decide your destiny. Their opinions don't pay your bills. You can't please everybody. Most of them don't even care as much as you think they do. Your worth ain't up for debate. And the haters, they only exposing their own insecurities, not your truth. Real freedom comes when you clap for yourself, when you validate yourself, when you stop waiting on the world to give you permission to be great. So walk out of here today with your head high. Stop apologizing for being who you are. Stop lowering your dream to fit somebody else's comfort zone. Live your life loud, live it bold, live it free, because the only person who gotta believe in you is you. And once you do that, I promise you, nothing and nobody can stop you.